everybody, it's Justin Conical from Grogan Conical Real Estate Brokerage. We've got our real estate market update for November 2015. So the latest stats are in, and October of last month was actually just a slight less amount of sales than October of last year, but keep in mind last October was the best sales we've had in 7 years. So we're still sitting pretty as far as residential home sales go. There were 695 homes that exchanged hands last month. And what we're actually seeing is the inventory is slightly down. So the amount of homes and options for sale is tightening up a little bit. So, you know, the talk amongst the market, the president of All-Star, Carl Vandergoot, actually a great guy, was saying that we're going to be watching to see where that inventory shifts, because if there's a lot less inventory and still a lot of buyers out there in the marketplace, it's going to turn into a seller's market, which will result in more bidding wars, prices going for, houses going for closer to their list price, sellers being in a better position to sell their properties. Historically, past little bit, we've been in a bit of a balanced market. So, a lot of times when you miss out on a property, there's others coming down the pipeline. We always still adhere to that there's going to be more inventory, but same time, if you see something you really, really like, sometimes say you're $5,000 off on price, it's a little more worth it to lock that property up, get exactly what you want, pay a little bit more of a premium, than wait and hope that you get something 6 months down the road. Now on the other side, if you don't really love the place and you're kind of just forcing yourself to wrap your head around it, that's where we would come in and really shed light on the whole scope of the project and maybe pull you back a little bit and say, let's wait for that perfect property, or that property that's a 7 or an 8 that you can turn into a 10. On the commercial side of things, again, we're seeing kind of the opposite. We're seeing an uptick in the amount of inventory that's in and around London right now. Commercial office inventory, a lot of the older buildings are being marketed as potential locations for retail and office uses. So landlords that have brought properties that were dilapidated, maybe in really, really rough shapes, are either putting them up for sales or, advertising them for tenants turnkey, which means that they'll build it out given they get the right lease terms and amounts. So we have a couple projects on the go: 499 Hill, the old Legion. We have Mike Manuel's building at 190, 188 Dundas. Both amazing projects. We got 2 people behind it that have a lot of vision and a lot of love for London and want to help it grow. So, if you're an office user, or in the tech industry, or you're just looking for a flagship location, these landlords will sit down with you, do design builds, look at the entire scope of the next 5 years and structure a deal for you that'll make a whole lot of sense. To cover a legal point like we like to do on our market updates, something came across our desk when it came to condominium. So in condominiums, you're buying a portion of the condominium. So it's a collective, right? You own one unit in a building of, say, 50, and really it's like you guys all own shares in a company, and you're paying monthly fees to make sure that that company's maintained. So to make sure that they have enough money to replace the roof and the windows and everything else, that would be your monthly condo fee, and then within there, maintenance and everything else is included. The legal brief we wanted to cover is there was a couple cases in Toronto where the courts actually had the power to go in and force people to sell their condos because they were disrupting the building. Now, it's a bit of an interesting case study because, for one example, there was one lady that was in a building in downtown Toronto. It was a building that was mainly owned by elderly people. She was one of the younger people in the building, and the legal brief detailed that, she had a big dog that she used to scare children and tenants of the building, that she did, very aggressive things, insulted people with all kinds of, racial slurs and whatnot too, and that she was very outwardly aggressive and threw dirty things at neighbors and whatnot. And then there was another case where there was something very similar, but the second case, it actually turned out they had a medical condition, so that one was a little bit more of a complex scenario. In both situations, there's really 3 stories. There's her story, the condo owner's story, and then what really happened. So, sometimes people feel that they're being unfairly treated in the condominium because they don't fit into the standard of the types of people that live in the condominium. That's neither here nor there, because at the end of the day, the courts actually had the right to go in and force her to sell her unit and then pay for the repairs and pay for the legal bills for the condominium corporation to go through the eviction process. Something that's super important for you to know when you're looking at condos. Make sure you're working with somebody who knows condominiums, that knows how to find out a little bit more than your average agent or person would about the types of people that live there, you know, the standards that they adhere to, what the level of expectations are, and then make sure you're working with a really good lawyer that can dig into that status certificate and really make sure that there's nothing that leaves you open or exposed. Some of the stuff is a little bit complex, so if you have any questions, you can email us at info@theclosers.ca, or you can call or text anytime, 519-860-6547. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and feel free to reach out to us anytime. Take care.